everybody, and welcome to Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief Ryan Satin. I'm here with my co-hosts, Jamie Iovine and Elijah Bates.
Hello there.
And as usual, we're here to discuss the top stories of the week in the world of professional wrestling. Now, there's a lot going on this week. I think that, the biggest story of the week that kind of progressed in the past few days is Aleister Black being taken off of TakeOver due to injury. Now, obviously, injuries suck for everyone. Injuries are the worst.
They are.
But, man, the timing of this one was so crappy considering TakeOver is like a week away.
Yeah, days.
It seems to me that WWE is doing this weird play. I don't know if it's necessarily weird, but I mean, it's bringing in lots of money. Is that they're really trying to throw SummerSlam up there on the level of WrestleMania?
They've been trying to do that for a couple of years.
Yeah,
but I mean, just even looking at the ticket prices, resale, or they're like, for instance, the same seat, if not a better seat, for SummerSlam. I mean, the same seat for SummerSlam is almost double what I paid for my ringside seat at WrestleMania, which is insane.
Is it just because it's a smaller venue?
That's my guess. Less.
Wait.
Less,
the WrestleMania this year?
Yeah.
You're saying the
ticket, the amount I paid for my seat ringside at WrestleMania,
and you didn't get any hookups at all?
No.
Is double for SummerSlam?
Almost double.
That doesn't make any sense. That can't be right.
It's a smaller venue. There's so many other seats that they got to fill up at WrestleMania. It makes perfect sense to me.
I guess that's weird. That's surprising though. But you're right. They are. They have done that in the past few years. They've tried to make SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania,
I think SummerSlam
Survivor Series for destination pay-per-views.
I think SummerSlam is really at this point has passed the Rumble and Survivor
way.
Series.
You think?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I guess just for me, that's like just the Royal Rumble for me is the one I look forward to.
Royal Rumble is connected to WrestleMania.
Yeah,
though.
so
it's an extension of it. Yeah, so it's hard to say that it's like its own event.
To me, the Royal Rumble is the pre-party to WrestleMania. To me, that's what it's always seemed to me.
That makes sense.
Pre-party is never as good as the regular party.
And you're saying with SummerSlam, it's the hottest party of the summer?
Yes, but the reason why I was saying that is, yes, and they in kind, they're building up the TakeOver that's next to SummerSlam just as big.
Yeah, it makes it part of the destination.
Yes. And, this is one, and as we all know, New York is the mecca of the WWE, whether it be NXT or WWE. It's where you go when you make it, even though they hold considerably less seats than a lot of the venues they play.
Yeah.
It's still, respected. And even if you don't play WrestleMania, you want to be on the New York shows because it brings the audience. And so, yeah. Aleister Black.
And honestly, less even New York than TakeOver. I mean, the TakeOvers have started to surpass the actual events. I mean, there's been a few cases where they've been on par or the other one's bet. Maybe,
quality maybe, but the buy rate nowhere near.
Well, there's no buy rate on the WWE Network.
Well, it counts views as well. I mean, it counts views and ticket sales.
Fair.
But we don't get them.
I feel like we're getting far from the Aleister Black point here.
So the reason why, this was a big, high-profile match with a lot of moving parts and a lot of things invested in not only Aleister Black, but as well as Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And taking one of those pieces out it's going to be a great match. I mean, what we got instead is holy shit, they're going to kick the fuck out of each other again.
See, I feel like that's my...
what are they going to do?
Because, to be honest with you, I agree with you. What we ended up with now is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in a last man standing match at TakeOver. And we're going to explain how we got there in a moment. But, I feel bad for Black, besides for the obvious reasons, but also because... his whole title reign, he's played second fiddle to Ciampa and Gargano.
Yeah.
I mean, from day one of his reign, he has not been, that's not been the focus. It's been Gargano and Ciampa getting, finishing out that storyline. And he was finally going to get a main event in NXT for the title. He was going to be in that main event. He was going to finally get it, granted with Ciampa and Gargano, but he was still going to be part of it. And it sucks that, after his reign was already had that shadow over it, that he's still not going to get to be part of it.
Do you think that the match is now going to be better without him in it?
I think so.
I mean, I think it's a better sounding match without him. I mean,
I love Aleister Black. Honestly, I think there is so much upside and potential in Aleister Black.
Yeah, he's a main roster guy for sure. No question.
Yeah, no question. And I think he's gonna kill it when he gets there too.
I think so too.
But the Gargano Ciampa thing has been the focus this whole time. Now that Ciampa is champion and Gargano kind of played a part in making it happen. I think that even though we've kind of already seen Gargano versus Ciampa on a couple of the takeovers now. It's the first one where Ciampa's going into it as champion.
Yeah, it's funny. It kind of feels like a continued extension of their story, and and I feel bad.
If anything, the Black thing kind of played into the story better and kind of made it better.
It did, and I feel bad for Aleister Black though too, just because I was watching, I think it was Something Else to Wrestle With, and they were going over when CM Punk lost his first world title. And when I was watching, I was like, "Damn, I don't even remember how he lost
it." Was it to Bradshaw?
No, it was he got hurt, and then they basically put the title up. It was they
remember he got beat up by Randy Orton.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it was almost just kind of all right, you're done. And it was kind of the same with Aleister Black. It's all right, you're done. And now in terms of how this is going to be remembered in history, you're not even really going to be remembered as any part of this
the payoff.
Yeah, none of the storyline that's continuing is going to involve him, and it's he's going to kind of I feel he'll come back, and I'll just kind of be all right, well it's kind of when Finn Balor came back. It was all right, you're back.
Well, I think the Punk comparison actually is really good too because of the fact that I think the main complaint when CM Punk was champion was that the focus was still on John Cena.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of what happened with Aleister Black was the focus was on someone else during his reign, and it didn't do him any favors.
I was actually when they were set a few weeks ago, the direction it looked like where they were heading, with Ciampa doing that huge random match with Aleister and then winning the title on a TV taping.
Love when title,
which is always crazy, and especially with him, they did it great.
Yeah,
but I was more so looking. I was happy, not so much that Ciampa being champion was a crazy thing to do, and I was not. I support that. I'm not talking about that specifically. I was happy that they were we were getting a break from the Gargano Ciampa story.
Yeah,
because it's if you really think about it, it's been going on for almost 2 years now.
It's been a long story,
and they keep coming back to it.
And they keep coming back to it. Are
you bored of it at this point?
No, but not to say that they can't come back to it later. I was just looking forward to that break from it. Have another match with Ciampa and Black not be able to win.
Yeah,
that's when they threw in Gargano and Gargano was the reason why Ciampa won, I was kind of like. Yeah, it's just again, to your point, he was kind of an afterthought.
Yeah,
the focus was still on them, even though he was still in the match. You cared more about what Johnny and Ciampa were going to do to each other as opposed to what Aleister was doing.
Well, and I agree with you. I felt like we were going to get even though Gargano and Ciampa were both going to be in the match, I felt like it was going to be a little bit different than some of the other ones because we were going to have another opponent in the match with them.
Yeah.
I felt like it was going to have a little bit of a different wrinkle to it. So yes, I agree with you. It almost feels like they had to rush forward plans a little bit because I assumed something like a last man standing match between the two of them for the title was going to be the takeover for Mania. That's the
last time they fight.
As much as I enjoyed the Gargano versus Ciampa stuff, I agree with you. It's got to end at WrestleMania this year. That's where it's all got to come to a close. But does Gargano win? Finally, do you want to see Gargano finally get the NXT title?
The traditionalist in me says yes, but the booking, the pseudo imaginary booker that the fantasy booker, because I'm in no way a booker. I want to say that it depends. It depends on who gets called up afterwards.
I kind of feel like they would both get called up though at this point, wouldn't they? They've both been in NXT for such a long time.
But I don't know, man. I see Vince looking at both of them, and then they're
even Ciampa.
They're both so small.
Ciampa's not super small.
They're both short. They're shorter than Finn.
I'm not saying that. Ciampa's not shorter than Finn, is he?
It seems like
they're both shorter than Triple H. I know because he's taking pictures with them.
Wait, now I'm interested. Wait, let's see. Okay, Ciampa is wait.
That is a long time for a storyline to be going on and everything too. That makes perfect sense that it would end, even if it ended before then. Part of me is thinking back, just like the idea of like how they kind of came back together. I remember when Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho were feuding with each other, and I remember the last couple matches. I thought, how are these guys still in a feud with each other? How is this still going on at this point? And that was only like 8 months. And now it's like these guys have been going on for years. It's like it's about time to end it.
Are you bored of it at this point?
No, not bored of it, but that doesn't mean that I want to get bored of it.
It's been done so well.
You're right about their size. They are shorter than I realized. I'm taller than both of them. Crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just saying,
you could be NXT champ.
It's another reason why I've brought up before. It sucks so much.
5'10" and 5'11".
That these guys are killing themselves and putting on arguably one of the best feuds, not only in NXT history, but recent wrestling history. And they're only just going to be delegated to 205 when they get up to the main roster.
I honestly believe Gargano. I love Johnny Gargano. I think he's killing it.
Yes,
he's killed
absolutely.
it in NXT. But I agree with you. I don't think Vince will ever see him as anything more than 205 Live. I don't see him. We've seen from Sami Zayn. It's not like he's gonna get massively. Johnny Gargano is the not modern day, I guess, because isn't that time, but the current version of Sami Zayn in NXT.
Yeah.
He plays the character that Sami Zayn played before him, and we've seen from Sami Zayn's push that he's gonna be around. He could be around adjacent things, but he's not gonna be the main guy.
Sami Zayn win a title yet in WWE?
No.
He hasn't won the Intercontinental title yet.
Nope.
No, I don't think
tag
so.
team.
Mm-mm.
Wow, that's shocking.
And there's some parallel, not a lot, but there are some parallels between in the careers of Johnny and Tommaso and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, where they're always going to be tied together. They always will be. Sometimes they were tag teams, sometimes they were feuding. And in my opinion, in the order that they should get called up, skill aside, it should in order to keep this whole thing going, call up Ciampa first.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you there. And to be honest with you, no matter what, how we feel about the situation, Ciampa has proven himself to be one of the most effective heels in all of WWE right
Agreed.
now. I don't care, size aside, he is getting real heel heat, like massive heel heat, actually hated. I don't know if you guys will like this. He did an interview on WWE.com today about his title reign.
Yeah.
And some of the quotes in there are so good. I'll pull it up right here. But he said, they said, where do you see this brand going with you as NXT champion? And he said, with Tommaso Ciampa as its ruler, NXT has officially become the A show. There is no ceiling, no boundaries, no limits. I'm writing my own legacy, and I'm carrying NXT along for the ride. When my mission is complete, kids will no longer dream of their WrestleMania moment. Kids will dream of their TakeOver moment, which I was like, that's such a good heel thing. And then he said, I said, what can the NXT universe expect from your title defense at TakeOver? And he said, well, for starters, the NXT World title will finally be defended in the main event of TakeOver again. Spoiler alert, I win. Which I loved. I thought
burn.
He's so good at everything he's been doing heel-wise. He is definitely. You were texting us the other day about it. How just that's his music now. It's just the booze.
He just comes out to booze. And
when is the last time something like people reacted that much to like a heel?
That's why when I was asking you guys, obviously he's a heel and he's doing every thing classic, has no merch, no theme song, nothing that people could get behind, no catchphrase. And
not even a finishing move, really.
Yeah, but then I'm like, are they booing him just to be ironic, or are they booing him?
I think we've seen with people like Adam Rose or a No Way Jose, the NXT audience, they play along. They want to be not necessarily part of the show, but they some of them want to be part of the show, but they try to enhance the show with their reaction.
I think that you're the devil, Ciampa.
I think they do enhance the show.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much their enhancements
help
transition into main roster entertainment.
Do I think that when Ciampa comes to the main roster, if they do the same thing with him, will the whole audience? No, they won't all be booing him. It'll be kind of awkward, just be him walking out in silence, which I don't know if that necessarily will translate. But
we're also, by the way, my points about Johnny and or Ciampa going up to 205 Live. this is me just being worst case scenario.
Yeah, of course.
They could make, who knows, if they get called up and they are allowed to do, which we've seen that they haven't been, but they're allowed to do what they did at NXT on 205 Live, then they could be the reason why more people tune in. But
pull like what they tried to do with Enzo, but with a popular storyline that's already in place, bringing it over.
Yes.
You know, I really don't want to see that. Well, you know what I would prefer is I would prefer in the next Superstar shakeup after WrestleMania, because we said it has to end at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I'd prefer at WrestleMania, and obviously that it'd be tough if one of them wins the title, but I don't care. I would like if in the Superstar shakeup, Ciampa gets drafted to Raw, Gargano gets drafted to SmackDown, and they're split in that sense until the next time one of those things happen and they end up on the same show.
But that's if they don't go to 205 Live.
If they don't go to 205 Live.
Do you worry that they'll make a transition of like their feud or of like their great history together, similar to like how they did with like Bayley and Sasha? Because I feel like Bayley and Sasha had like this epic run together in NXT, and their connection in WWE has been so lackluster and disappointing to me. And it's just like I kind of like,
You don't like the Boss and Hug connection?
it's no.
Did you see their shirt?
I hate their storyline so much.
I like that viewers can now see Elijah if you're watching via YouTube and not just listening on the podcast feed, because I feel like because I can see it in your face how just the thought of this whole storyline just makes you frustrated. I like that it can be seen on YouTube for everyone now.
Started taking off. Like when Bayley beat the crap out of Sasha, I was like, damn, this is precisely
they were going the right way.
What I've been waiting for. And now I see like these pictures of them together, and I'm just like, no, this is the opposite of what I want out of this, of anything I want to watch. Don't make them be happy, friendly, lovey people together because they're horrible actors.
It was an interesting choice. It was an interesting choice going that direction. But what may happen with that is something that could happen with Johnny and Tommaso, is that you use all your tricks the first time. Whereas in NXT, which is I feel is what Eli is feeling, is that Sasha and Bayley tore the house down almost every time they were together in NXT.
They're like legendary matches, legendary feud.
It's like, what can we do? What else can we do now?
Yeah, it's true. It really is. I mean, obviously, there's a large portion of the audience who didn't see all of their work in NXT. For example, someone like my dad who didn't watch them all. And it's interesting to me because I feel like I've talked about my dad on here as someone who doesn't like women's wrestling, and he texted me recently about that. He heard me say it on here, and he was like,
Stop saying that.
Stop saying that. It's not true. I used to not like women's matches. Now, the women's matches are my favorite thing on the card. So, I mean, they have helped people like that come around.
Yeah.
So maybe, it's different for us because,
it's weird.
It's like when you see... It's like when you read a really good book and they make a subpar movie out of it, and you're like, man, that book was so good. Like, why didn't they just make what was in the book? And, so, like, I feel like that's what we get a lot of the time with the main roster version of NXT stuff. And
I think a lot of people, like there's this weird middle ground of main roster acknowledging NXT that just, like, I don't know, like I feel like they were quick to acknowledge Asuka's reign, but, like, her undefeated streak. But then so many other things like they don't really call back to, and then some fans are like, "Oh, I hope they get a chance to do on the main roster what they already did in NXT," and it's like they already did it. Like it already existed. It's still in the pantheon and timeline of WWE. It still existed.
Yeah, it's part of canon. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about before we switch topics here is the injury angle that they did to write Aleister Black off of TakeOver.
Don't go in that parking lot.
Yeah, I love that they have now made the NXT parking lot the most dangerous place for wrestlers.
It's such a nondescript parking lot.
Yeah, like to walk from your car just to the building, which isn't that far.
Wild West.
It's like you got to sprint through that area.
Their parking lot essentially in look is like the parking lot from The Office, from Dunder Mifflin. And it's just like, it's really dangerous out there.
It's like, I know they're in Florida, but like, come on,
I hope somebody gets like attacked by an alligator
Keith
out
Lee,
there.
what happened? I got mugged on the way from my car to the door.
I mean, there was that stalker that showed up there too. So like maybe
Jesus.
In real life, it's actually sketchy.
Hey, they need to make a stalker angle like for somebody and be like, it was him all along.
Which, by the way, I forget which Twitter account pointed it out. but they literally litter the entire. It's like, who shot Mr. Burns?
Well, that was my favorite part about it. Is that the last time they really did something like this was Hideo Itami, and even though it
was very clear,
they never explained who it was.
I always thought it was Kevin Owens.
Well, that's what you're supposed to think, but
they never came back to it.
They literally never came back to it ever, and you don't know that. Which I love that Hideo Itami quote tweeted the video, and he said that the parking lot's unsafe, which was great.
That's who did it.
Yeah, it was him who quote tweeted into the parking lot is unsafe, but
that's the funniest thing he's ever said.
Me too. I was cracking up. I was dying when I saw it. I was like, that's a funny thing from Hideo Itami. Weird. You don't normally see that.
You are a legitimately humorous man, Hideo Itami.
But when they did the Hideo Itami one, it was kind of similar in the fact that there were a few suspects that were like, that were.
But they were all over the parking lot, doing different things.
This time they did they totally did the Simpsons style of like having them in different. Like first you had Gargano who what was he doing out there? Like why was he running with it?
Running past the camera, looking like.
Oh, I didn't even see Ciampa.
No, Ciampa runs up holding his belt like that.
Oh, I didn't even notice him.
Looking no, that's the thing. Each time you watch it, you notice something new.
Because I saw Heavy Machinery come in for the selfie.
Yeah.
I saw Undisputed Era go get out of here, get out of here. I like to think that Undisputed Era drives like that everywhere now. That's how, in my mind, when they go over, they got the top down, Adam Cole sitting on the top, Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. I love that image of them. I thought that was great.
Even on the freeway.
Yeah, even on the freeway, everything. It's just like his hair's flowing in the wind while he's, hey, baby, on the freeway. But yeah, no, I
you get a ticket for that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I really hope, though, that this time there is payoff to it. Now, I know it's difficult because obviously people get called up and stuff like that, but I think with Hideo, if I recall, his injury was much more significant.
He had a severe one, and he got another injury right off the bat.
Yeah, too. So it was known he was going to be out for a little bit of time when that happened. With Velveteen, with Aleister Black, this is only going to be, from what we put on the site this week, that sources tell me that it looks like he's going to be back by October. I'm not sure when in October, but that's not very long.
So that's enough where it would, because the whole thing, from plenty of things that we've listened to on the radio, the podcast, so on and so forth. Vince, a common excuse Vince uses is nobody will remember that, And
Totally.
I think that could apply because Hideo was out for so long.
Yeah, I think it was 9 months.
It was a long time.
Might even longer.
It all depends on what they're trying to do at the period of time in which the superstar comes back. If it doesn't fit the plans of where they're at and everything like that, they're just going to forget it. They do it all the time.
I just hope they don't.
Well,
please.
Good luck with that.
I feel like Triple H is better than that. I feel like Triple H doesn't necessarily leave things
Well, if you're
open
a good
like
boy,
that.
Papa Hunter will leave a good match for you underneath your
Hopefully, they'll start some sort of weekly segment where somebody is traipsing about the parking lot with a magnifying glass, searching for more clues.
Oh, man. Too bad Leslie Nelson's dead.
I know. Nielsen.
Yeah. Nelson.
Leslie Nelson.
Leslie Nelson.
Leslie Nelson's probably a totally different person.
Yeah, he's like, I'm alive.
Hey, she's like that. I'm Leslie Nelson.
I was looking to see if I had a plug here because I just realized my computer's going to die soon. Whatever. It's okay. We're good. Let's move topics here. Let's move on.
Just turn the dimness all the way up or whatever, however you say that.
I turned it down.
And now I can't read it.
Ooh, this story's got
this is my
a lot of
favorite
meat
story.
on the bone, as they say.
I like the look on your face as you said that. Yes, this one's a little a lot of tea in this one.
Explain.
The tea was good on this one.
The tea was good on this one. So Colt Cabana is suing CM Punk over legal fees connected to the defamation case that they were both fighting against Dr. Chris Amen, WWE's doctor, and Colt Cabana is requesting over $1 million in damages. Now, that's a lot of cheese.
Yeah, that's a lot of mustard.
So we both used different kinds of food reference.
It's a lot of cheesy mustard.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a thing?
No, but maybe it should be.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
No. It's like easy. It's like easy cheese mixed with Dijon.
Oh, God, that sounds disgusting.
Put it on a pretzel, it would not be disgusting. It'd be amazing.
I only recently learned that people
put mustard on pretzels.
Yeah.
What? That's like what you're supposed to do.
No, not like pretzels at like a
baseball
game or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm talking
Oh,
about
like regular pretzels.
regular hard pretzels.
Oh, like the crunchy ones.
I've
you
seen
get in the
people do
bag?
that before.
yeah.
Well, it's not that different. It's just the consistency.
It's just I get it with the soft
I
pretzel,
mean,
but a hard
dip
pretzel.
people dip chips and guac. I mean, it's not
Hey,
really.
people put French fries in fucking milkshakes, dude. This
Yeah,
is
man.
2018.
That's disgusting. I would never do
People
that.
That's
dip-
that's a Wendy's thing. You never know that. Like people do that.
I know they do it, but I'm not a fan. I don't approve it. Is what I'm saying.
People dip artichoke pieces into mayonnaise.
I do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not that weird. And, like, I mean,
What's wrong with that?
there's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with dipping normal pretzels into mustard. That's my point.
when I was
But cheesy mustard, not okay.
when
Oh,
I
man,
was
I'm gonna make cheesy mustard tonight.
when I was 9, I used to have Cocoa Puffs, and instead of milk, I used root beer. And my mom found out and put a stop to that real quick.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's like this is diabetes in a bowl.
So much sugar.
That's so much sugar. How was it?
It was great. Tasted like a root beer float.
Yeah, you know what? I might try it.
I thought fuck,
Tonight.
yeah, I was a wild and crazy kid back
I was
then.
a
man.
wild and crazy kid. So Colt Cabana, he filed suit for breach of contract and fraud, and basically, it's a thing that's played out the past few years.
This has been
their whole
quite a
defamation
story.
thing. That basically, Colt, interviewed CM Punk on the Art of Wrestling in 2014. Not long after they were threatened with basically got a legal letter saying take it down and we're going to sue you. Now, according to Colt, he then went to Punk and said, "Hey, we just got this letter. Like, what should I do? Like, I'm gonna take it down." And Colt was like, "No. Like, I'll talk to my legal team.
No.
I'll handle it. You're covered. Like, don't worry about it." So then Colt didn't take it down. Then the doctor filed suit, and basically once the doctor filed suit, Colt went back to Punk like, "Hey, what am I gonna do? I can't do this. I can't afford this." And Punk told him, "You're 100% covered. I'll make sure this is handled.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it." Then they went and they got a lawyer together. They signed an agreement saying Punk would handle all the legal bills, and that was that. At least that's what Colt thought was going to be that.
Yeah.
But then after like 6 months, maybe a little while longer, apparently the legal bills had gotten to over $500,000.
Since the case was announced, how long was it until the actual trial happened?
Well, so he filed it in 2015. This was now in 2016 when they finally, when Punk hit up Colt and was like, "Yo, I can't pay for all your stuff anymore." It's now at $513,730.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
of money.
But this doesn't include all the legal fees from recently, like when the
No, they hadn't even gotten there yet. This was still in 2000 before it had even gone to trial. This was still all pre-trial stuff, and they had racked up that much money.
That's a
in
lot
legal
of money.
before the trial even started.
before it even started.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Punk sends an email to Colt in 2016 that says, "To date, I have spent $513,736 on this Amon lawsuit. My outstanding current bill is at least $300K. Half of this is yours. Divide the $513,736 by 2, and that is what you owe me and what I expect you to pay me. Starting now, I will no longer be paying your bills. You are on your own. Whatever my bill is currently will be cut in half, and half will be yours.
Wait,
If you choose to make this all ugly, that's fine too. I hope you won't, but I gave up on you doing what is right a long time ago."
This is who said to who?
Punk said that to Colt.
Yeah.
I just don't know that there's any precedent for Punk to be able to just be like, "Hey, I know I had this agreement with you, but starting now, you have to back pay me for half of it." It's just
Right?
Like that seems like that wouldn't legally fly. Like if he,
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I was putting it in like I don't know, like let's say you said something on the podcast that got us sued, like, and you completely went off the rail, did your own thing, said something, got us sued, and then you came to me and were like, "Don't worry about it, my fault. I'll handle this for us. I'll pay for it."
I would immediately go to Mexico and you'd never see me again. I'm serious.
And then halfway through being like, "Oh, never mind, you gotta pay for it. Bye."
Yeah, I think it sounds good to say that, like whenever you're telling somebody not to take something down because you have a personal bone, you have a bone to pick with whomever it is that's coming after you. It's another thing to be faced with a multi-$100,000 bill too.
And you're not. I mean, even though Colt is booked a lot, he's not. I mean, he's
not making UFC and WWE money. That's for damn sure.
No. So before I say anything, so you said they had a written agreement.
They did. So basically, they had a written agreement. Then Punk sent this, and then Colt was like, "I can't pay this. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't pay this. I don't have that money." And so after like back and forth, Punk's legal counsel, it sounds like they basically said, whatever, because, okay, sorry, let me explain. It sounds like Punk's legal team, after all of this, decided that if he wasn't going to pay them this large sum of money, and he went and got his own lawyer, that it was possible that Colt, with his own lawyer, would settle with Dr. Chris Amon and by proxy fuck up everything that Punk's legal team was doing to not settle with Dr. Chris Amon. So what they did was they were like, you know what? You're going to screw this all up for us. Just we'll do it for free for you. Like, Punk's paying us anyways. You're just part of it. Whatever. And they got kind of like mad. And then it sounds like after a certain amount of time, though, it was passed along. Like, you know what? Never mind. You're not on this anymore. You have to get your own lawyer. So then he went and got his own lawyer, and those two lawyers started working together. Then the trial finally happened this year. So to answer your question from a little while ago, I mean, shit, they got sued in 2015. 3 years of stuff. That's a lot of money.
I wonder what the total amount is that CM Punk ended up paying as a legal team.
Well, at the end of the day, okay, so then at the end, it sounds like from what the vibe I got in these documents that Colt Cabana filed, it sounds like the court said Amon ultimately had to pay the legal fees.
Oof.
So then WWE was bankrolling it. So it's not, but it sounds like that's what happened. And then the vibe, it wasn't super clear in the docs I read, but that's the vibe I got.
Yeah.
Was that ultimately he was going to have to pay the legal fees. And so then Colt's lawyer went to Punk's lawyer, or Colt went to Punk's lawyer saying, hey, since we're getting reimbursed money, I now need to reimburse my lawyer. I need $200,000 to reimburse my lawyer. And they were like, no.
Yeah.
The money that was for reimbursement was for this legal team. Like, that's not for you guys.
Yeah.
That's for us. And so that's part of the lawsuit, too. Like, he wants the $200,000 for the legal fees and then $1 million in damages.
Curious if this whole push, I know that they're saying, oh, Colt Cabana's coming after CM Punk for this money. I'd be curious to see if it's the lawyer, Colt's lawyer, who's actually the predominant push behind this.
I'm sure he has to play a big part in it.
Because they may have had an agreement that was basically along the lines of like, well, I'll be reimbursed for all my costs and everything.
Of course.
So the second that doesn't happen, of course, like the lawyer is going to come after him. And also, it probably isn't in the best interest for Colt to be part of it too, because it kind of seemed like CM Punk went back on his word on a written word. It sounds like, and kind of like
used him,
kind of threw their friendship in the trash.
Literally, it sounds like he used Colt and the platform Colt had created to get out his message about, to whine and cry about everything that happened to him, which whatever, I would probably do the same thing. But then at the end of the day, you got your best friend fucking sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you then threw your friendship away for, it sounds like the ultimate dick. Like, look at, I know that Colt did a lot for Punk back then, like as in friends terms, like they're best friends, like I know that, like one time, Colt called me to get mad at me for Punk, like he does, like they were boys, and I couldn't imagine just my friend throwing me under the bus like that.
First off, I can guarantee you all of them wish they didn't make that episode.
Oh yeah.
Because it's shit. I mean, has anybody had this much of a headache for
any podcast
years?
interview ever? I don't think there's ever been a podcast that's ever been this
contentious.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is on the level of like that OJ book, where it's like, if I did it.
Yeah.
And it's that's the first thing I said when you posted that story. The article was that it's just a shame. It really is, because these two guys. Obviously Punk was hurting. Colt reached out to him, gave him the platform, and I think just money really money does ruin relationships.
Yeah.
That's why you never do business with your friends.
Yeah.
You never do. And unfortunately, even though it wasn't technically a business venture, money came into play. A large sum of money came into play. And I mean, I've maybe dealt with Punk twice in my entire life. I don't know him. I don't know Phil Brooks. I can't say what happened or what didn't. But I do know, being in a position where money has come in between me and a friendship before, it does make you look at people differently. You kind of see who that person is on both sides.
Yeah.
I'm talking Colt and Punk.
Yeah.
And I think that they were living in a relationship where they were both cutthroat indie guys. And they were kind of just out there, like they were two Chicago kids just trying to make it in this professional wrestling world that they loved so much growing up. And when Punk crossed over into the mainstream of WWE and Colt didn't, I'm not saying that it caused any rift there. It does change your perspective of thinking once you've been there.
Yeah.
I'm talking in the sense of
course.
CM Punk. And when he got, like I said, he was hurt. He was definitely hurt physically and mentally when he got out of the WWE. And I just think the whole thing was put together in haste. I think it was put together without a lot of thought on either side. And they're paying the price for it now. And I just think that it's like I said, I think when they finally, I don't think they spent that much time together before this.
No, they did, because they talk about it in the podcast.
Well, I'm saying when they were on the, they were friends, obviously. I'm saying when Punk was on the road.
No, because he lived in Chicago still, so when he was home, they'd hang out.
Yeah?
And stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they were still at that time. But I agree with you in the sense that like it was all done. They 100% wish they hadn't, and that it was rushed in. Because I remember, as a guy who's listened to, I loved the Art of Wrestling podcast. I listened to all those interviews back in the day. I remember that interview when it hit. I listened to it like the minute
Does
it
he
hit.
not do it anymore?
It's in a different format now. It's not interviews as much anymore. It's more of a live
Storytelling.
It's like a blog kind of. It's like an audio blog almost, but.
An og.
Yes. But I remember that podcast when it hit, I literally I got the notification that it went live and I was like, oh, that's going to be juicy, and listen to it. But I remember he had this rule. He had this rule for a long time that he didn't like to interview someone right after they got fired because he felt like the wound was too fresh, that he'd like to give him a little bit of time so that it didn't feel like this bitter.
Well, it's like
shoot
it
interview.
didn't want to be a you shoot type of thing.
Totally. But then the Punk thing turned out to be that.
And I totally, I believe this, that if they had slept on it, I don't think they would have done it. I believe that.
I'm I'm a little surprised that whenever like the lawyer came calling, when the cease and desist dropped, that Colt just trusted Punk, and Punk's request to not take it down.
That's how close they were at the time.
Yeah, I know that.
I mean, let's be honest with you. If I used you as an example, but if we were in that situation and it happened with Jamie, and Jamie told me like, "You're good," I would probably believe him.
I mean, well, I'm not going to mention what this instance is, but I have asked you, like, if I had an issue with somebody. I'm not going to say what it is on the air, but you said yes. Like, if you need a platform, I got you. And I didn't.
We are going to do that story though.
Okay.
Did you get it? Did you end up getting this stuff? Yeah, we should do that story because someone needs to get called out for being a fucking dick.
I want to be part of the story as well.
I can't believe you haven't gotten that shit. I forgot. We should do that.
Emailed the website.
Wow.
Emailed the lawyer.
Ooh.
Wow, that guy is.
Not saying nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's funny too because it's similar names in the topic that we're referring.
What the fuck, man? I'm not saying nothing.
Hey. You know, the first thing that came to mind, and this is like whenever I heard about the lawsuit, at first I wondered if it was just a business dealing completely. And it kind of reminded me of after the Lord of the Rings films came out, Peter Jackson and his crew sued New Line Cinema like almost immediately because like there was some weird accounting fraud or something like that. I can't recall the exact story, but I remember just thinking like, how could Peter Jackson and New Line Cinema be in a lawsuit with each other when he just made one of the greatest trilogies of all time, and the last movie won like a record-tying amount of Academy Awards, and almost immediately after that, Peter Jackson sued New Line Cinema to get like their books and realized that they had done a bunch of like illicit backdoor, like financial dealings and stuff like that to not pay Peter Jackson and his crew the amount of money that they were due. And then Peter Jackson came back and did the Hobbit movies after that. So part of me at first was like, is this just like a business dealing that's going on? But the thing is that I don't think there's any sort of business dealing when it's attached to CM Punk. Just based off of...
he's always been like this. I mean, if you look back at his history, that's why he stopped talking to his brother, too. Money is something that he takes real seriously.
Yeah.
But it's why he stopped talking to his brother, too, if I recall. Like, his brother was taking money from the company that the wrestling company they were doing together, and he got pissed, and so he stopped talking to him. And same with his family. His family was asking him for money when he got famous, and he was like, fuck you guys. You guys weren't there for me when I wasn't famous. I'm not going to give you money now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly...
I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't show up for somebody in my family if they were like, hey, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. I'd be like, good luck with that.
No, but if I was in Punk's shoes, I'd be mad at the family members who did that, too.
Absolutely. And I don't know if... I mean, I just really don't know if Punk is completely the bad guy in this.
Really? You don't see him as the bad guy?
Again, we don't know what happened.
We haven't gotten Punk's side yet. Yeah.
I would love to hear Punk's side.
Me too.
I would love to.
I'm sure he'll file something as well with his side.
Playing devil's advocate, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
$500,000 to CM Punk is not. It's not like he has
nowhere near
$500 million. The guy's does have some couple million back change in his bank account and everything like that. But that amount of legal fees is a huge percentage of the money that he probably had too. So I can understand.
But also $300,000 is worth a lot more to Colt Cabana than it is to CM Punk.
Yeah,
especially
if they truly felt like they were innocent in the whole thing, then you truly feel like you're going to get reimbursed at the end for all of this. Punk had that money. Regardless, I know he's at $500 million. Punk has that money.
Yeah.
All Punk would have had to have done at the end of the day is go do a wrestling show. And he would have had a ton of money too. So I don't know.
The devil's advocate thing, if there was a signed agreement, this is going to be a very short case.
Agree. 100%. If there was a signed agreement, there's literally no argument on CM Punk's. You can't sign something and then be like, oh, I don't mean that now.
Well, also, you can't, regardless of how the case turned out, probably not a good idea to go out in public and say a bunch of negative things about somebody and then end up getting sued for it and everything like that. So, I mean, the guy clearly responds emotionally at certain moments.
Yeah.
And obviously, there was a lot of emotion in that note that he sent to Colt, too. So, I agree with you. I think that, it's largely going to be an open and shut case for whoever Colt Cabana's counsel is.
Yeah, especially if there's a signed document.
If it was a signed document, it's done. But if there's not, this may be another 3 years. But
all right, well, another story that surprisingly, I can see the traffic on the site all week. And this one had people in it all week. And I feel like you guys probably weren't super aware of this one. But, last week we talked about the wrestler with the Nazi gimmick.
Yes.
This week was a situation, not Nazi wrestler, but this was a wrestler named Sam Adonis. Now, he's kind of got like a Trump supporter gimmick that he used in Mexico. But he was at a RevPro event in the UK. And apparently he came out and started dropping a bunch of homophobic slurs about the audience, calling them the F word, stuff like that, and then it caused the crowd to turn their back to him and start chanting, please don't come back. Or not please, just don't come back. And then, after the fact, he kind of put out a statement that, his initial statement was, wait till the story plays out, kind of a thing. Like, oh, this is just chapter 1. Like, I'm trying to tell a story here. But the company was pissed. They kicked him off their future shows. They said, not what they want, supported with their brand. Do you think this is kind of similar to the Nazi thing where it's like, yes, we get it, they're someone playing a character, but do you need to possibly make people in the audience feel, I don't know, weird for...
I think it's different. I think it's, do I support the wrestler that did it? No, I don't. I mean, and to be honest, I don't really know the crowd of a RevPro event. I'm aware of the brand, and I know people, big names go through there. Yeah. But I mean, can you enlighten me? What's the generally like?
I think they're very yes, adult, yes, but I would say that not that crowd where you could be pulling that kind of.
It's not like an ICP crowd.
No. It's much more of the progress type crowd,
sophisticated European crowd.
And you know what? regardless of whether or not you think it was on PC or too over the top, hey, promoter doesn't want you to do that. You don't fucking do it. It is what it is. And
also, I don't think that it wasn't so much they said they did or didn't. He kind of just went rogue a little bit. It sounds like he got on the mic and just kind of started going rogue to get heat with the crowd.
We have seen a lot of instances where you get so worked up and you're like, and the blood starts pumping so fast, and you say, we've seen wrestlers do this a million times and just say things, and they don't even think about it. They just say things. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how old this guy is, but he was probably, when he was younger, him and his friends probably called each other fags and stuff like that.
He seems like he's around our age.
Yeah. And I don't think he went up there
from what it seems is that in Mexico, because he primarily works in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he does do these things in Mexico. It is part of his character from what I've heard.
Is he from Mexico?
No. Okay. He's a white dude. His whole thing is that he's a Trump supporter, so he kind of goes there. He was on the news back when Trump kind of first.
See, that's cheap heat.
That's the cheap. Yeah,
it's
agreed.
cheap.
It is.
It like, oh, if you're something incredibly offensive, of course you're gonna get booed. You know, there's a difference, man.
I also like the idea that, oh, you got to wait to see how the story plays out. I was like, there's no story playing out here. Give me a break. That's
like, what was really your arc that you were talking about?
What's this grand character arc that you're taking everybody on, please?
That had to start with calling everyone the F word.
Like when I say it's different, I'm speaking in terms of the level of severity.
Yeah.
The Nazi character was way worse.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
The Trump supporter thing, if you don't flat out say that you're a Trump supporter and you kind of dance around it.
No, he does come out right and say it.
I'm saying it would be better if he didn't.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because he even like in Mexico, he'll come out with like a flag with Trump's face on it, like that and stuff.
I mean, like that's just being. To me, it's the same thing as being a garbage man. You know, it's something that exists in the world, and you don't have to do that much tweaking for it to be a wrestling character. And it's using something that is a hot button in the world right now, and that thing won't even be relevant in 4 years.
Yeah,
and then you're just the guy who was calling everyone,
it's
homo and stuff.
Yeah. Like it's not it's severe. Don't get me wrong. It's not as severe as the Nazi thing, but it's more of just like, dude, I'm not so much angry at the person. I'm just like, dude, you're like, why? Like, why did you need to do that? Like,
honestly, that was kind of the vibe I got while reporting the story. That even the promoter who tweeted a statement and the people who were angry about it was more just like why, man?
Yeah.
Like why?
Why go there?
Why? What's the point? Like what were you going to gain from this? Like what was anyone going to gain?
Well,
from that?
what's the long-term arc that you're going to form out of this? It's like it's kind of cheap. It's a one-off gimmick.
The twist is I get deported, and now I can't leave Mexico.
I was surprised this week, though, that since we're talking about the Nazi dude, I was surprised to see that the guy with the Nazi gimmick, that his school released a statement.
Hey, it's that district, and I'll say that I don't give a shit. I know plenty of people from that district. That is.
Yeah, the statement was. You know, there was one part in the statement that they released that just like, it made me cringe a little bit because I was just like, you had to word it like that. I'm pulling it up right now because my computer died. As I was going to say, I knew it was going to. Yeah, it died. Okay, so their statements, the one part of the statement that bothered me said.
The statement made me more mad than the fact that he kept his job.
Right? Okay, that wasn't just me. Did you not hear this? Oh man. Okay, so it's a long one, but it's okay.
You want me to read it?
Like my anger has shifted from him to the school board.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that, Jamie, because sometimes I overreact according to people, and I was wondering if that was just me, because I felt the exact same way while reading it, and so did Erica, and so did the person who forwarded it to me from the school district, or whose kid is in that school district. But the part that drove me crazy, it said, based on the investigation completed, we have found no evidence indicating violation of board policies by Mr. Bean. As such, Mr. Bean will continue to... Bean. I know. Every time they say Mr. Bean, it made me laugh. As such...
I could just imagine him like...
Imagine having a teacher named Mr. Bean, too. Like, oh, man. As such, Mr. Bean will continue to remain a teacher within the district. Me too. As we shared previously, the actions that were demonstrated in the video are not supported or sanctioned by the Springford area school district, and we will work with our staff so that we may continue to uphold the high standards our community has come to expect. It says,
Very high, apparently.
As part of our investigation, it was shared with Mr. Bean the concerns that were raised about the character he played.
Every time you say it, man.
While many so this is the line that made me mad. While many understand that professional wrestling is a form of entertainment and not a reflection of one's personal beliefs, Mr. Bean understands the character he played has been viewed by some as being offensive. Like they had to like add a few, like not everyone was offended by it. Like, and then he has a statement, his own statement within their statement that says, the character I portrayed did not reflect my personal feelings or beliefs, and I do apologize to those in the community who were offended by such actions. I have spent many years working in the Springford community and pride myself in providing an exceptional education to my students over the course of 14 years. What bothered me is that the word Nazi is not said once in the statement, and he doesn't say, I denounce Nazism, or I won't do that anymore. Nothing like that. It's just kind of like, my bad.
That was the worst. Like, usually when people are racist or bigoted, they go, oh, I have a lot of friends that are black. That was the worst version of that I've ever heard. That wasn't like, even trying.
He's like, I cannot see the relevance in what you're saying.
Like, with this organization he says he works for, what the hell does that have to do with race and religion and anything?
Right? Like, why wouldn't you just say, I am not a racist. I denounce racism.
This was a character I thought would be clever. I was wrong. Won't do it anymore.
How hard is that? You would think that is a very easy thing for someone to do.
It's probably because maybe he is a Nazi and he's just like, well, I can't just say this directly.
My brethren will be upset.
I'm sorry, is that the thing that's going to get us sued here?
That's the thing right there. You just did it.
Just kidding.
No, I mean, I don't think he can sue for that.
I mean, anyways, I'm going to Mexico now.
I'm just saying.
Pro wrestling.
Anyways, Elijah Bates signing out.
Coming to you from Mexico.
Yeah.
I'm just
saying. We're
saying.
here with Sam Adonis.
The craziest thing about that whole thing is not one parent was just like, yo, what are you doing
No,
here?
there were. I saw a local news story.
I would take my kid out of the school.
Yesterday, I saw a local news story when shortly after I put the story up. I want to say it was like ABC in Philadelphia or something like that. It said like one parent was like, I don't see the big deal. But then it was like multiple other parents that we've talked about were very unhappy about it, did not like that this was something that was being associated with their children in the school. The person who said it to me, I believe he said he's white, his kid's black. And he is like really unhappy. He was like, man, I do not like racism being a thing where I send my kid basically to like someone who isn't, it's like pushing that kind of a thing.
It's like somebody who's in charge of developing your child's mind.
It's 100%. I would
take my kid out of school.
I would too. I definitely would too. I couldn't. I personally wouldn't be cool with that. Okay, moving topics here. We only got a little bit of time left. I want to talk about. I'll give you guys the choice here. Mm-hmm. You got Tomatonga. Have you guys read any of this Tomatonga story where he got like okay, you have where basically he's like possibly being disciplined by New Japan for the way he's been acting lately, or we can. I think this is the one you guys want to talk about, the Heyman interview this week from Raw, and going to the Performance Center.
What the Tomatonga thing, as entertaining as it is.
It's got to be a work, right? It's a work.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, too, when I read the story. I'm like, come on. Tomatonga isn't going out into the crowd, touching, putting his hand on someone and not being fucking fired immediately or suspended immediately for real.
Knowingly, with a company that has gainfully employed him for over a decade. Has it been over a decade?
He's been there a while.
For many years.
Just start fucking him over all this
time? Or that they would discipline him because he tweeted about Roman, like talking shit to Roman Reigns, or because he called someone a flame-ass Dorito. Like, come on, I'm not stupid. Like, he also used the word ho-muffin, which is part of my vocabulary now. Ho-muffin is a good one.
Okay, yes.
So yeah, work. I'm glad we all are on the same page there. Heyman. So okay, so I want to talk about, because you all saw on Raw this week, Heyman had a sit-down interview, but I like the way that WWE did this week. So what you saw on TV was Paul Heyman saying, in this current incarnation, the way Brock is right now, Roman Reigns has no chance of beating him whatsoever. Cannot beat him. No chance whatsoever. And then it ended. But I like that WWE the next day
an Easter egg
did Easter egg. That's a good way of describing it.
That's you gotta tune into the WWE.com.
Totally. And I don't know. Did you see the video too? But I love how they had that one, and it's just one extra line where they had that one extra line they released.
It wasn't even a full sentence.
No, it wasn't even a full sentence of him just going unless. I'm like, and he takes his mic off, and then it's Renee going unless what? Unless what? What are you talking about? You gotta tell us unless what?
What Paul Heyman has always been great at, and whether it be Punk, Brock, even Ryback, he's always been great at making the relationship more than just a manager-wrestler. He's always done it, and it's always been executed perfectly. People knock the whole Ryback, Paul Heyman when they would say they love each other and stuff. I thought that shit was great.
I liked it.
I thought that
when he kissed him?
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Although I think about it sometimes, I'm like, kind of weird.
It was done on purpose.
Yeah.
But and so with this one, the one part that stood the thing I love about Heyman promos, especially ones that are produced like this, that are on only him, when he's really able to cut loose in his acting chops, is you notice little things. Like for instance, when the thing that always stood out to me when he turns to whoever was off camera and he goes, "Brock's not going to like this," talking, because it's like he's making it a relationship.
Yeah.
He's an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yes, he treated you like shit and dumped you, but you still have his feelings in your head.
Yeah,
and that kind of shit is what sets him above everybody else.
Above everybody else.
Yes,
like that one line did it for me.
You mean you think he's a better actor than Bayley and Sasha?
Well, I don't know about
No, actually. I was acting just now.
Wow.
Do you guys think that he turns? Do you guys think? Because you know what? I feel like with that video and all the foreshadowing that's gone, I feel like it's not happening now. I feel like that they want you to think that it's happening now. I feel like I think Brock's sticking around until after WrestleMania.
Just from what I've seen time and time again, we are so sure when we're going into whatever pay-per-view, us as fans.
Yeah.
We're so sure.
Literally so many.
So sure. And they do something completely different. It's happened time and time again that any time Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar are involved in any match, I don't make a prediction.
They've held on to the title. Brock's held because he's held on so far past WrestleMania now at this point. I'm convinced that Dana and Vince have already agreed to let Brock walk in with the WWE title at his return UFC fight. Imagine that sight of Brock walking in as the WWE champion, Cormier walking in behind him as double UFC champion or whatever.
But then you run the risk of the diehards getting super upset about
but
it.
do you think that would upset them?
Do.
I do. I think it would upset them too, but I would also say it doesn't matter if they're upset.
Well, it's funny. I don't think it'll upset anyone. Oh, wait, diehard wrestling fans or UFC
fans?
Oh, okay, yes.
No, I think diehard UFC fans will be furious.
Diehard UFC fans, yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I think that, I also think we've gotten to this point now in, his reign as Universal Champion, or just his reign as a champion in general, that so many people are like, oh, it's time to take the strap off him. He's never here. And then beyond that, it's just like, oh, well, per the way that wrestling is supposed to work, he should have had the strap taken off of him long ago. But it's like, hey, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They're never going to have another wrestler, another superstar in WWE
who can do both.
Who can believably and feasibly do both.
Here's the thing, though. I do think that they run the risk of making their whole entire product look inferior is if they do have Brock go in with the title and he loses to Cormier.
No, it won't.
Well, they
because
won't do it.
What if he gets his ass kicked?
Hey, there's no chance in hell that he'll get his ass kicked like CM Punk did.
No.
The thing is that Brock Lesnar is not going to get his ass handed to him. He might get his ass kicked, but he's not going to get his ass handed to him. If he does lose, there is going to be a fight that takes place to get to that finish.
Yep.
So I don't think that they it doesn't matter. Brock is still going to land some hits. He's still going to like even if he loses, it's still going to be a fight. It's not going to be a pathetic one-way street like it was with CM Punk in his UFC bout.
The craziest thing I ever saw was when Daniel Cormier won the fight, and we all knew that they were gonna fight, and then and you don't realize it, and then Brock gets in the ring, and you're like, he's like two of them. He's like two of Daniel Cormier's. It's like he could eat him.
You know, size-wise, yes. I feel like there's a chance Cormier would beat him up.
Yeah, I think that
he's
it will
far past his prime.
I think it will be a good fight for sure. I think that there will be heavy blows landed on both sides. I think it'll be a legitimate contest, unlike CM Punk's, which were not a contest.
All right. Well, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think's gonna happen?
Doesn't.
Well, I do. You can hit us up on @WrestlingSheet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all social media. Let us know what you guys think about all these topics. What do you think about the new TakeOver main event? What do you think about this Nazi gimmicked wrestler keeping his job? What do you think about Sam Adonis and what he said at RevPro? Let me know. Hit us up in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube right now. If you're listening in the podcast feed, in the Wrestling Sheet Radio podcast feed, I implore you to go check out the video. You get to see our pretty faces. You get to see the actual anger in Eli's face when he talks about things like Bayley and Sasha's acting.
It's not anger. It's just apathy at this point.
But really, so if you're listening to the Wrestling Sheet Radio feed, please go check out our YouTube channel. I've been putting up content all week there. John Roca and I, we've been doing recaps for Raw and SmackDown. I've been doing news videos, lists, different things on there. And I have been very, very happy with all your support so far. I mean, just in the past, in less than 30 days, we've already added an additional 2,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel. So I'm really happy with that. If you're listening in the podcast feed, it's super easy to get to our channel. It's just youtube.com/C for channel, C/Wrestling Sheet. Go on there, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. If you're watching on YouTube and, you might not always have the time to watch these videos, go to the podcast feed, subscribe on there, leave a review, leave a rating. The stuff really helps us out a lot. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share. If you're digging the video, comment down below. All these things are a big help. It keeps the show running. It keeps Wrestling Sheet in business here, and helps make us more content, helps get the word out, and it really is appreciated. I love that you guys are digging the video content and the weekly audio content. Jamie, in the meantime, until next week, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE or on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE. And anybody attending this Sunday's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood taping, keep your eye out. Something interesting may happen.
Okay, great. Yeah, I liked on your Instagram today that we got kind of like a view of what the network offices are looking like.
Yeah, it's quite a journey.
And so you guys are close to launching on that too?
We're launching late September, early October. So
I'm excited for that.
Things are getting exciting.
Eli, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Elijah Bates, or you can find me on Instagram at Brindlebeard.
Or in the woods.
I'm just realizing that I was the only one wearing the headphones the entire show.
Yeah, you were. I kind of let you roll with it, though. It's funny. I was looking for the headphones the whole beginning. I didn't realize
this is a great story. I got to go.
Oh, sorry. All right, guys. I'm at Ryan Satin on social media. As I said before, it's at Wrestling Sheet for the website. But yeah, okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.
ProWrestlingSheet.com